What's up guys, this is Anime Crossover. I'm back with a new episode of What If Naruto Went Through Marvel Universe Part 15. And if you enjoyed the video, give this video a like, and if you're new my channel and like more content, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more crossover fictions. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 17. In death, the month of February has passed, and the Uzumaki clan is now in the middle of March in Boston. The winter season had ended as the weather approached the spring season, much to Kuroka and Medusa's relief because they hated rain and snow. Naruto was delighted with his steadiness in both his home life and his hero career, but he also envisioned how difficult things would be if his wives weren't as supportive as they are today. Speaking of his wives, they were out shopping for fresh fruit at Boston's farmer market because their garden needs more time to bloom, and it was wonderful to get away from the homestead every now and then. It was also entertaining to observe the looks of other men, both single and married, as they walked around the market. They're so obvious with their staring. Kuroka smirked at a single man who passed by and gazed at her buttocks. Good thing I'm already taken. Medusa shoved Kuroka with her elbow, chastising the Nekomata for flirting, despite the fact that the latter had reassured the priestess of her faith in their spouse. Honestly, Kuroka, one of these days Naruto will punish you. Kuroka opened her mouth to respond, but Medusa cut her off. And no, it's not because you're better than all of us combined with your mouth. The boys within hearing distance looked at Kuroka with wide eyes and a slight flush around their cheeks. When Ria and Seiko scowled at them for making a spectacle in public, both girls stopped arguing. Ashla and Masaki laughed at their mother's reactions before their attention was pulled to the crowds of people passing by, staring as if they were newborns.
Kuroka, Medusa, can you get the produce, please? Ria requested as they nodded and walked to the produce department. Seiko, are you coming with me to get the meat? Seiko gave the goddess a friendly grin. Of course, plus I know the twins will get upset if you're not around. You're their favorite aunt after all. Thank you. Of course. Ria and Seiko walked around the meat area looking for top cow meat. The Uzumaki ladies were distractedly looking around the sector until the twin stroller was brushed up against by another shopper, causing Ashla's toy, a figurine of his father's heroic persona, to fall out of the boy's fingers. The elder twin quickly began to cry as he attempted to reach for his toy, until a foreign hand picked it up and handed it to him, ending the tears. Oh, you're so cute, the stranger said before looking at Masaki, who was staring at her. Your sister has beautiful eyes, she said to Seiko when the latter seen her picking up the toy and returning it to her son. How old? They just turned 1 this past winter, Seiko replied, observing the girl who was around Naruto's age. Aren't you young to have children? Yes, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
What about their father? He's at home, doing chores and such, Seiko sang cheerfully. Sometimes I wonder what I'd do if he wasn't around. Sounds like quite a guy. He is. Your accent, where? London. Sightseeing in our city. Seiko inquired as Ria haggled over the price of the meat with the cashier.
You could say that, but I'm also looking for someone. Who? I don't want to say, but he saved my life.
Seiko contemplated the type of man the stranger was looking for. I'm sorry, but I didn't catch your name. Lara. Lara Croft, she exclaimed, as she was taken aback by Ray's beauty as she approached Seiko. Oh wow. Ria cocked her head in response to Lara's words. Thank you, but I must admit that you are a stunning beauty yourself. You will grow to be a very beautiful woman, Lara said, brushing her hair past her ear in embarrassment at the goddess. Will you join us for lunch? Really? Lara asked, surprised. We just met. Ria smiled at the younger girl and said, of course. If the children like you, then you're fine with me. Lara checked her watch before nodding and accepting their lunch invitation. Sure, they said, but they were soon overtaken by Kuroka and Medusa, whose combined beauty shocked Lara once more, while they were taken aback by the archaeologist's natural graceful features. Uzumaki Manor in the Homestead Ground, Massachusetts, United States of America, is forested. Naruto stood in the middle of the cove, his chakra flowing through the seawater. His eyes opened, and he began to perform Furinji-style kata techniques. After each of his motions, the water churned and deswished, until solidifying into various shapes such as a vehicle, subway, and plane. Naruto adjusted his moves to hard but gradual attacks and movements as the earth shifted and shattered under the power this time.
Then he felt it again, the strength bestowed upon him by Poseidon. Naruto noticed his arms and legs glowing brilliant blue as he used the power, which he named Earthshaker, after one of Poseidon's many titles. It was becoming increasingly bothersome that this power would activate at random, albeit this may be attributed to his lack of Earthshaker training. All right, Then, let's start with something simple to familiarize myself, Naruto reasoned. Wind, of course. Duh, he exclaimed as he concentrated on the gentle breeze about the homestead. His arms moved slowly in a kata of Rei's Bagwazong, the movements appearing defensive from the outside. Then Naruto swung his right arm in a vertical chop, and the wind grew stronger, followed by the rumbling of trees and the shattering of the soil. Do I dare look? The ninja opened his eyes and grimaced as he remembered the outcome of his first encounter with Earthshaker. The trees had been ripped from their roots, and the ground had broken under the weight of each fallen tree for nearly an acre or more as far as Naruto could see. I'm so dead, Naruto muttered knowingly, his face flushed with tiredness similar to Sage Mode's time limit. Why every time? He wondered before focused on the Earthshaker till the divine sensation left his body. I need a place where I can train this thing freely without damaging our home. It's not a big deal, the Jinchuriki said, looking to his side, where his tailed beast companion was snacking on a watermelon at the dock. After all, one of your wives is the goddess of fertility and earth. She can fix this place up. The fact remains that I don't want to destroy our home again and again, Naruto replied. It's been a while since we talked. Their previous conversation was after Yamatai, when Naruto informed Kurama that they still needed another 6 months before leaving the dimension. That was 3 months ago, and the tailed beast had not spoken anything to him or Ashura since. Being cramped in your body without talking really puts a damper on my personality.
Do you have a personality? That's new to me. Ignoring that remark and changing the subject, there's something that's been bothering me recently, Kurama said as Naruto sat Caesar in front of him. Why haven't you accepted Captain America's invitation to join the Avengers? Naruto responded immediately. Simple. My family. You sure it's nothing else? Nope, he said, looking up at the sky with his buddy. As you know, I grew up without my parents, but I had their love, Naruto said to the fox beast. I want to be there for my family as much as I can, especially the kids. Being with the Avengers like in January took an entire day, and when I came home, I saw the relief of my family as they saw me.
A family man, I see. Honestly, I think you made the right choice, Naruto, but that thing with Kong also exposed your ninjutsu. No doubt S.H.I.E.L.D. will come after you and they'll be relentless if their director was a hint. Not just them, Kurama. I'll bet a lot of people have their eyes on us these days. And when they come, we'll smash them. Is Hulk influencing you now, Kurama? Maybe, maybe not. All right then, Naruto said as he stood up and walked back to the saltwater. Want to help me control Earthshaker in a spar? Kurama's jaws bulged with delight as he expanded to the size of an aquila. Did you have to ask? Let's do it then, Naruto said, feeling a rush of heavenly strength flow through him as his body glowed cyan before charging at Kurama. After 2 days, during his daily patrol in Boston, Patronus flipped over a power line, but he was also seeking for something, or rather someone. Imagine his amazement when his wives told him about Lara Croft in the city, and he had been looking for her ever since, with little success. His hunt was cut short when his wrist computer beeped to notify him of an incoming message from his technical support. Hey, Sky, what's the word? He inquired after rolling up his right sleeve and pressing the accept button on the device, which displayed Sky's face.
Good, all things considering. Do I dare ask why? Oh, it's nothing major like saving the entire world from a time-traveling conqueror with the Avengers. Patronus sighed, knowing she was going to bring it up. Sky. I mean, I'm just technical support with above-average hacking skills and technical savvy, but you. Okay, I'm sorry for not bringing you in to help us out. I'll do it next time, Patronus said, looking to the side. He muttered under his breath, if there is a next time.
What was that? Nothing. Is that all you wanted to say, or is there actually something else you wanted to discuss with me? Yeah, the museum called for you again. Regarding. They didn't say. Patronus mused as Sky shrugged her shoulders, at least it's a change of pace. After the video link was terminated, the hero proceeded to the museum. Boston Museum of Fine Arts and Antiquities. Slap. Patronus had not expected this, well, not entirely. Fortunately, they were in a private room, so no one could see the palm-to-face action. I take it you're somewhat upset. No, but I wanted to do that ever since the Tokyo airport. I see. You feel better. Yes. That's good. It's good to see you again, Lara, Patronus said warmly.
With a sweet smile, Lara nodded in agreement. You too. How are the others? Naruto inquired after pulling out a chair for Lara, which she accepted before seating himself.
Lara said, they're fine. They're all fine. Sam is helping her dad in his company, Jonah got his own cooking show and Ross met his daughter for the first time. That's good. Are they living together? Lara asked, nodding. Great for Ross, Patronus replied before noticing Lara's faint frown. What's with that look?
No, thanks for the gift. How rude of you, especially since it's a one-of-a-kind. What gift? Think back around Christmas Eve. Patronus took a contemplative stance with his fingers behind his chin, while Lara sat in her seat with a routine face. The ninja was finally reminded of the painting he acquired from the archaeologist who unearthed it. The Battle of Anghiari painting. That was you who gave it to me.
Yes. I'm gonna ask the obvious, why? That painting made your career and you owned it, he said. Unless you had a reason, the British young lady shook her head, attempting to play it off. Okay, now you got me curious. What's up? Nothing. Lara, I need your assistance with something, Lara finally said before pulling something from her leather jacket and placing it on the table. I found this at the same time with the painting. I was wondering you would know what it is. Naruto took the object, which was spherical in design with a raised top in the center. Figures ornamented the artifact, depicting a lone figure battling swarms of sea animals, with Greek inscriptions etched behind the four figures. From the looks of it, the relic details of a sea battle between a hero and a monster. I got that part, Lara said monotonously. Well, excuse me, Patronus replied angrily. The Greek dialogue is ancient obviously, but it makes references to Poseidia, or better known as. Lara exclaimed enthusiastically, Atlantis. Sorry, but I already read the gilfs. Patronus raised his arms in rage. So, what do you need my help for? Protection, Lara replied quietly as Naruto's head raised in recognition. There we go. Then why not just say that? It's been a while, you know. Okay, that was a lame excuse, but I accept, Patronus told the archaeologist, much to her surprise. When do we leave? Now. Lara rolled up her sleeve to expose a device with a green light in the center. We're ready. To grab her attention, Naruto coughed loudly. Who was that? You'll see. The two associates vanished in a mist of green warping lights around their bodies just as the curator entered the room, his dreams of reclaiming the Battle of Anghiari painting for his museum dashed as he imagined they went without saying anything.
Manhattan in the Hudson River city of New York, New York.
Oh shit. You got that right, Naruto said, surprised. When the duo returned to one of New York's ports, they found themselves on a platform where a giant sea creature was half submerged, and when it attacked them, Patronus held Lara in his arms as he jumped high in the air. So, I take it you didn't know they were on call? No, Lara replied meekly as her carrier landed among the crowd of residents gathered behind the NYPD cops. What are you doing? She asked as Patronus set her down and approached the beast. You're not actually going to fight that thing? Patronus gave her a, are you serious look. It's sort of in the job description, Lara. Stay there. He approached the landing ship, which was definitely the work of the monster, and saw the one responsible for the entire episode. Who are you, pal? It was a light-tanned man with gold bracelets around his wrists and glossy black hair, with narrow facial features and sharp ears. He wore only red and black trousers and held a three-pronged gold spear tightly in his hand. I answer to no one, land dweller. Patronus remarked, much to the annoyance of the hostile figure, you just did, pal. Do you have a name at least? I am Namor, king of the lost city Atlantis, and I have come to warn all land dwellers, stay away from the seas. The seas are not yours alone, Patronus responded as New Yorkers applauded the hero's planets until he silenced them with the good one finger. Both humans and Atlanteans are offsprings of Earth. Namor averted his gaze from the cloaked man. Then why is it that your kind is harming her and her seas? She has done nothing wrong while your petty wars and technology ravage her so. That may be true, but humanity is seeing the flaws in their ways and are changing to help our planet and her creatures. The Avengers, Stark, the Fantastic Four, all these people and more are finding ways to help all life. That is not enough. For the safety of my home, I leave this warning to you all, stay away from the seas or feel my wrath. And if you harm a land dweller, as you call them, there won't be anything to stop my wrath. The tight atmosphere between Patronus and Namor was only interrupted by Theosnap of cell phone cameras before it was shattered by the ground trembling, which was followed by 4 more arrivals. Hey, who's the guy with the hood? Inquired someone who sounded like a teen. The first to arrive was a man with black hair with white streaks near his ears, brown eyes, and a blue-black one-piece suit with the number 4 feet on the left breast pocket. The second man had short blonde hair, a smug expression, and blue eyes that were shaded. The third member was a bigger and larger man with a rock-like appearance, wearing a number 4 feet belt around his shorts and scanning the damage with his blue eyes before his fist snapped under his strength.
"Oh my god, it's the Fantastic Four," exclaimed one of the onlookers. "Johnny, I want your baby." "Wrong guy to axe," Johnny replied solemnly before assessing Patronus. "Beat it, will you? New York is our turf." "Who are you again?" The cocky Fantastic Four member made a face fault before regaining his composure. "Are you kidding me? Johnny Storm, the Human Torch."
Doesn't ring a bell. Patronus shook his head before noticing the 4 members that emerged from behind the ship. "Who are you?" asked a young woman with short blonde hair reaching her shoulders, her luscious shape enveloped by the uniform. Sue introduced herself to her teammates as Susan Storm, Invisible Woman. "This is Reed Richards aka Mr. Fantastic. Ben Grimm is the Thing and you just met my annoying brother. I'm sorry to bring you here under these circumstances." Patronus was surprised when Lara crossed the border and approached the heroes. "Ms. Storm, thank you, and we understand about this, but," she said before being cut off. "You asked the Fantastic Four to help you out." Patronus was irritated by her veiled acts. "I don't see why you need me when you already have a heavy hitter," he said, pointing to the Thing who was pleased to be the heavy hitter. Lara stumbled slightly. Well, you could be their backup. 4 isn't enough for you." "Enough," exclaimed the heroes and Lara, looking at a displeased Namor who clearly did not appreciate being ignored. "If you do not heed my warnings, then we face your wrath." "We got it," Johnny said as Namor ordered the sea creature to destroy a nearby restaurant. To Namor's delight, the creature raised one of its many tentacles before swooping for the selected target. Until the tentacle halted inches over the logo, which astonished him. "Why have you stopped?" he asked, raising his purple-glowed trident as his beast was swallowed moments later. "I command you to destroy it." "I don't think so, Your Highness," Patronus said as Namor fixed his gaze on him and saw his lighting blue arms stretch out at the creature, which was now radiating the same color. "Creature, stop your action," he said, as the monster pulled back its appendage. "Now return to your home and family."
The Fantastic Four, Lara, and Namor stood there watching the creature slink back inside, much to Namor's chagrin as he gazed at Patronus. "How could you? No one could override the power of Neptune's trident."
Patronus looked at the weapon pointing at him and said, "I thought it looked somewhat familiar. I wonder." When Namor leapt at Patronus with the trident, the ninja saw it coming and shoved Lara to Invisible Woman as he stopped the hit with his pivot blade, much to Namor's surprise. "Your tiny blade should have broken the moment it made contact with." Namor observed the gold sheen on the blade and compared it to the metal of his own weapon. "Your blade, it is made of adamantine." "Adamantium, like that feral Wolverine?" Grimm questioned, shaking Reed's head. "No, Ben, adamantine is the golden metal and sole substance of the Olympian gods. It is just as indestructible as adamantium and perhaps more durable than vibranium." Reed put on an expression of thought. "Question is, where did Patronus get it?" Johnny turned to face his brother-in-law. "You know his name." "As should you, Johnny," Reed replied as Patronus and Namor exchanged more stares. "Answer me. Where did you get the metal?" "I found it at the flea market," Patronus shrugged, knowing Namor was not in the mood for games. "I can see through your lies." Namor screamed as he tried unsuccessfully to shove Patronus back. "That's not kingly behavior," Patronus remarked mockingly. Namor narrowed his eyes until they focused on Lara, notably the glowing area of her clothing. He directed the trident at her, and the relic pierced Lara's garment as it hovered in front of him. "So, it is you." "Excuse me," Lara asked before being snatched by a water whip and dragged into the sea. "Lara," Patronus exclaimed as Namor dove back into the water. "Oh no, you don't, Fishman." He pursued the Submariner, leaving the Fantastic Four and the townsfolk in his wake.
Did that just happen again? Ben wondered, recalling Namor abducting Sue to be his wife early in their careers. His family agreed with a nod. "Okay then. Let's fire up the submarine." Atlantis City, the Atlantic Ocean. The king of Atlantis was having a difficult day. Namor had left for the land after many months of his denizens pleading with him to take action against the land dwellers due to past events such as the invading Kong some time ago, hoping that his associates, the Fantastic Four, would persuade him to negotiate, but that new hero had irritated him to no end. Perhaps he should not have started the problem by commanding the water creature to assault as a force of power. Imagine the submariner's surprise when he spotted Patronus following him into the depths of the ocean, where the pressure would quickly kill a human. They were now in a standoff, with most of Atlantis' warriors directing their various but advanced weapons at the intruder, while Lara hovered behind Namor, surrounded by 2 guards. Namor addressed the disguised ninja, "You are trespassing on Atlantean territory. Leave now or be vaporized." Patronus's pupils constricted. "How about you hand back my friend you just took from the land?" "I cannot do that." "Then I can't leave," Patronus said as he floated inside official Atlantean territory, forcing its inhabitants to open fire on him. Ow 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 ow. Lara clung to Namor, clearly anxious. "Stop it. Leave him alone," she commanded as the guards drew her away from the king.
Namor replied coldly, he made his choice. Now unto.
"My lord, look." The dust cleared, much to the surprise of the Atlanteans and relief of Lara, revealing a virtually undamaged Patronus floating there with his arms folded.
"So, I take it we do it the hard way then." Patronus shifted his right foot, causing the ocean floor to shake violently enough for the royal guard to lose their equilibrium, but Namor and Lara remained unharmed. "And that's just a little of what I can actually do," he remarked before mulling it over. "I don't really want to destroy the lost city of Atlantis." "Don't do it, Patronus," Lara pleaded to the hero as Namor glanced at her.
Well, this can work in my favor," the king thought as he took the relic in his hand. "Do you know what this is, land dweller?"
A relic pertaining to the legends of Atlantis. Its images detailed certain heroes like Perseus and Theseus. "What of it?" Namor twisted the artifact in his hands. "This particular relic plays an important part in Atlantean culture. It is a token for marriage specifically to the royal family." "Say what now?" Lara inquired, requesting clarification. "And this stunning beauty is to be my wife." Patronus mumbled, "Oh great." But Namor hesitated for a dramatic moment. If there is one who challenges the betrothed in question, they are to engage in mortal combat for the bride's hand. "Say what now?" Patronus asked again. "This is amazing," Lara said as she took in her surroundings. Despite being imprisoned by the Atlantean monarch, the archaeologist in her could not help but be impressed by the architecture of Atlantis, the lost city. Except for SHIELD and other affiliated organizations, their technology in terms of armament, landscaping, and defensive capabilities is significantly superior than most on the dry land above. "You could not say that so loud." "Sorry." After their small tense arguments outside the area, Patronus and Lara were hauled to the Atlantean gladiatorial arena. To everyone's surprise, Namor had instructed his subjects not to harm the cloaked ninja since the latter had challenged the king for Lara's hand in marriage, despite the fact that it was neither his purpose nor their knowledge. Originally, there was supposed to be a feast before the challenge, but Patronus insisted on finishing it so that both he and Lara could return home. And he was not alone in his thoughts. "Human scum. You have nerve challenging our king. You'll be dead before the mooning." Naruto and Lara both lifted their eyebrows. "Mooning?" the bride-to-be inquired from the observation balcony, surrounded by 2 guards carrying spears. "It is Atlantean tradition for any royal member about to marry, my lady," one of the guards replied, sneering. "It states that both groom and bride are to consummate their marriage in front of the citizens, to show loyalty and love to Atlantis." When Lara glanced at him with a "help me" face, Patronus chuckled a little. Despite the booze, he replied, don't worry, this will be over soon. I hope." Namor made his presence known and silenced his subjects with a raised arm. "Atlanteans, many of you have cried to me about the surface world's callous disregard for the seas and us." His subjects agreed. "I have heard your pleas and swam to the surface dwellers with warnings of Atlantis' wrath should they not agree with my terms, but one positive outcome has come from my venture." He put his arm around Lara. "I have found my bride. I'd like to drown right now," Lara thought to herself over the applause. "But one challenger has protested my betrothed and challenged me for her hand." The Atlanteans booed and jeered as they threw items at Patronus, who let them strike him because he couldn't feel anything with the pelt except the last one to the head. "As per the Atlantean royal family tradition, I have heeded his challenge and shall face him in mortal combat for the lovely Lara's hand." "She's not a trophy, Namor," Patronus objected to Lara being treated as such. "I'm going to enjoy beating that notion into you." He ignored the Atlanteans' jeers until they were subdued by his glare, despite the fact that his expression was obscured by his hood. "To command such silence from my people, this is no ordinary human," Namor smirked as he swam from the perch and floated in the arena before Patronus. "Shall we begin?" he asked. twirling Neptune's trident and intercepting Patronus' sword blow. Eager I see.
You have no idea. Namor knocked Patronus aside and thrusted his spear at the ninja, but the latter deflected the assault by redirecting it away from his body and counter-thrusted at the submariner. Namor swam backwards to avoid the onslaught but was nonetheless wounded by the counterattack, much to his dismay. I see now. Except for his blade being pointed vertically close to his right flank, Naruto did not respond verbally before assuming the Sorasu position.
Then I shall get serious as well. Good. Namor directed his energy through his spear, and the three prongs flared red before launching a burst of the same color energy. To protect the Atlanteans and Lara, Patronus simply deflected the blast above the arena. The submariner continued to fire blasts at the shinobi, who deflected them all while calmly approaching the Atlantean.
Doden, Shindo, Naruto exclaimed as he shifted his right foot on the arena floor, cracking it.
The Atlanteans gasped in astonishment as their home began to shake violently, and Lara clung to her seat as Namor stabbed the trident into the earth and shot a green energy this time. Another tremor shook the arena, this time before it broke open, revealing the same beast who had assaulted him on the surface. This guy again, Lara wondered aloud. In contrast to the previous encounter, the creature assaulted Naruto, who sheathed Kajutsun in favor of grasping hold of the outstretched limb. Here we go. He swirled around with his hostage, creating a whirlpool in the arena while the Atlanteans watched in awe at the exhibition of strength in front of them. Say goodbye, exclaimed the Senjutsu-enhanced Naruto as he released grip of the beast. Namor and Lara both glanced at the other sea creature thrown out of Atlantis before their gazes back to Naruto, who was approaching the king with his hidden blades drawn. This is interesting, Namor grinned, raising the trident of Neptune above his head. It's been a while since I had a challenge. Then I'll be your last for a while. Patronus switched his left hidden blade to the pivot blade as he prepared to shunshin behind Namor and end the war there. Until a huge explosion shook the arena, effectively ending the combat as everyone in the arena searched for the source and witnessed a building fall in time to reveal the source. The residents of Atlantis did not panic as one might expect under normal circumstances, but instead swam to the middle of their city to defend it from intruders who dared to disrupt their king's fight. Lara, Patronus exclaimed as he swam to Lara, who had escaped her guards and swam to him, much to their relief. Take a deep breath. Are you serious? Just do it. Lara agreed, albeit reluctantly, before she and Patronus vanished in a yellow flash reminiscent of a lightning strike in the midst of the ocean. It wasn't long before Patronus returned to the arena, this time without Lara, and swam to Namor, who was encircled by his guards, waiting for his commands. Whoa, take it easy. He exclaimed as two of the guards pointed their weapons at him. I just want to help. Ha, first you challenge our king's betrothed and now you want to help. Land dweller scum. If I was scum, would I have returned to your home and aided you in defending it? Patronus inquired as the Atlanteans grumbled and Namor glanced at him. We can put aside the ego later, but right now your city is in danger. We need to act quickly. Namor sighed because the challenger was correct, his city and people came first. That is a king's responsibility. Atlantean guard, secure the citizens, Namor said as he swam towards Atlantis' vast hall. Challenger, with me. By the way, it's Patronus, Naruto said as he followed the Atlantean monarch. Any idea who would attack your city? One comes to mind and I thought he was dead the last time we fought. Who? Atuma. The Grand Hall of Atlantis. The Atlantic Ocean.
When Patronus and the submariner arrived, they found the Grand Hall's doors ripped wide and pulled apart outward with blast marks and hits consistent with spear and energy weapons. They swam into the hall, where the ninja spotted various unique tapestries depicting the history of Atlantis, the construction of which was linked to the trident of Neptune, wielded by a blue-skinned guy with gray hair and beard.
Is there something important here in the hall? Patronus inquired, but the king remained silent. Seriously, the silent treatment now. This isn't the time for secrets kept during an invasion. Quote. Guess I'll have to find out the other way then. Namor turned to face him for the first time in a long time. What does that mean, land dweller? The treatment was now directed at him. Answer me. Patronus chastised the king by quickly lifting his hand to silence him. Do you want them to know we're here?
I think they know you're here, Naruto, because invaders usually expect defenders to come after them, Kurama joked, much to Naruto's chagrin. Just saying, dork.
I will end you, Patronus said quietly as he and Namor swam to the main area, where they discovered a squad of fish-like men with light blue skin with spears and armor around their chest. Are they Atlanteans? Namor gave a nod. Yes, the Aquadines as they are called. Atlantis lived in peace with both sides, but Aquadines felt they were oppressed and lashed out at my people and tried to usurp the throne for their leader. Atuma. Yes, and I fought him to regain my father's throne. I've always tried to make amends and heal the rift between our people, but there will always be ones who oppose change.
Unfortunately, that's the truth, Patronus acknowledged, for it was accurate to the letter.
To his astonishment and dismay, there is still a lot of hostility in this reality, especially with the mutants and inhumans scenario in the United States. Humans treated them with contempt and a horrifying attitude toward their differences. This was also true of mutants who believed they should rule over humans because of their weakness, and there was that Magneto character who exemplified this mindset. Fortunately, there were people like Charles Xavier who led the X-Men to prove to the world that mutants, like humans, are living beings. You speak of experience. Somewhat. The couple abandoned their conversation in favor of stealth as they approached their targeted targets who guarded the chamber while their master was inside to grab whatever was necessary to attack Atlantis. Namor crept up behind two guys and wrapped his arms around their necks before applying pressure, knocking them out instantaneously, while Patronus knife-handed one man on the neck and booted the other hard enough to send him hurtling into the remainder of the squad members against the wall. Patronus and Namor floated in a descending spiraling stairway till they reached a vast room loaded with weaponry that the ninja had never seen before. Not only that, but their energies seemed to be crying out to him, as if they resonated with his chakra or something divine. Are these artifacts related to Poseidon by any chance? Patronus inquired when a specific artifact flashed significantly brighter when he passed too close to it.
Yes. Why do you ask? Namor inquired before noticing the glowing items. That is strange. They never glowed in anyone's presence, not even as I wielded Neptune's trident, which grants me a portion of our patron god's power. He peered at Patronus, who tried to blend in with the artifacts reacting to him. He's hiding something and somehow it is related to Poseidon. Hurry up, you sorry excuses of Atlanteans, yelled a voice from the other end of the room, causing the human and Atlantean team to swim faster until they arrived at their goal. The invasion forces won't hold out for long, especially with that half-breed submariner. As Naruto took one side and Namor the other, they glanced around their corners and saw who was behind the invasion. It was a towering humanoid with blue and yellow armor, as well as a headdress. His cape fluttered in the water, perplexing the ninja, but he ignored it for the time being. I believe this is Atuma, Patronus said to Namor, who swam like a torpedo at the invading leader. Oh well, stealth is overrated in invasions, he said as he channeled the water around him and threw himself towards Atuma with Namor, kicking the taller Atlantean in the back. Atuma yelled in astonishment as he collided with a wall, dropping the artifact he was looking for. Patronus and Namor immediately dispatched his guards with the pivot blade and the trident, respectively, before the king discovered and snatched up the relic. It was an odd-looking contraption with a mechanical eye in the center and triangle protrusions on both the front and back sides. What's so special about that? Patronus inquired, prompting Namor to shake his head. None. Lord Poseidon told me vaguely about this artifact, but I didn't understand its significance. I still don't, but apparently Atuma does.
And that's bad for us. Indeed. Both warriors alerted as boulder-sized rubble was launched their way, causing them to evade the projectiles before being seized in the neck by one smug smirking Atuma. Namor, I see you're holding Neptune's trident for me, and I thank you at least for that, Atuma said as his gaze went to Naruto. Now, you're inviting humans into our world as well. How low can you go, half-breed?
Like this. Patronus retaliated by twisting his body high enough to kick Atuma in the face, causing the Atlantean to let him and Namor go. Here comes some butt-kicking. He dashed regularly because the water resistance and pressure were non-existent to him because of the godly strength within himself. Atuma regained his feet and delivered a straight strike. Patronus' fists collided, creating a shockwave that forced the water to recede slightly. Human, you have surprising strength to match my own. The only ones capable of such feat as the Hulk and that thunder god. Hulk and Thor. Patronus acts, smiling beneath his hood. Good thing I'm the third person, he exclaimed as he countered Atuma's elbow attack with his own before the Atlantean pulled his sword and swung at him as Patronus battled with Kogitsune. And you know another thing about me, Atuma? And what's that? I can bring the heat. As soon as Naruto shouted those words, Kogitsune's blade was surrounded in blue flames from the collision of fire and water, much to Atuma's chagrin. Can't take it. He forced his opponent back before swinging his sword and unleashed a wave of blue flames on the Atlantean. Flames in water? You miscreant. Atuma raised his blade to stop the flame wave before it drove him back while burning him with its amazing heat. What magic is this? Naruto remembered from his conversation with Inari Okami that blue flames are the hottest of all. It may burn even underwater, though one must exercise caution around marine creatures if ever engaged in fight in the area. Shoot, the Atlanteans. If hot enough, intense flames can even boil biological beings. Atuma smirked arrogantly as he redirected the wave of flames away from him after seeing the surface dweller cancel the flames from his sword. Your compassion for Namor's people will be your undoing, surface dweller. He screamed as his body accelerated forward at the ninja owing to being underwater. Atlanteans are 100 times faster and stronger than humans, so how is this human able to compete with him? Atuma swung his sword quicker and stronger to put Patronus off guard, but the latter stayed watchful, merely parrying and blocking his strikes with the speed and strength of a skilled swordsman. What's the matter, Atuma? Surprised that a human can match your strength? Naruto mocked the Atlantean warlord as they clashed blades. Not the word I was looking for, human, as I will emerge victorious. In the shadows of his hood, Patronus smiled. Good thing I'm not alone then, he said before stretching his legs for a dropkick to Atuma's stomach. Your turn. My pleasure. Namor said as he batted his enemy through a pillar and a wall back into the relic room with Neptune's trident. Atuma, your life shall end today. He plunged through the hole and attacked with his spear, which was stopped by Atuma's blade, but his charge continued as he repeatedly pushed the warlord back. Cursed half-breed. You're a mistake that tarnished Atlantis' glory the moment your parents met, Atuma exclaimed, angering Namor as he accelerated his speed before pushing Atuma back and stabbing his spear straight at his chest. Fool. He yanked one of the prongs away from his torso, drew the weapon and Namor towards him, and slammed the submariner hard through multiple walls. Now I possess the trident of Neptune. Not today. Yelled a strange voice, drawing the attention of the fighters as a rock-covered Ben Grimm crashed through a wall and smacked Atuma in the face while being thrown against a wall. It's clobbering time, exclaimed the thing as he slammed his fist into the opposing open hand. My kind of party, Patronus exclaimed to the thing, who answered with his own as the duo ran for Atuma and clashed fists with him. Since their first encounter with Namor the Submariner, when he abducted Susan Storm to become his bride, the rest of the Fantastic Four have been wearing special slim-fitting underwater suits designed by Reed Richards. Fortunately, they were able to halt the wedding, and they have since been uneasy associates with Namor, who sought to slowly bring his realm to the surface.
Does he have a mask or something? Johnny inquired, pointing at Patronus, who clotheslined Atuma to the ground after Thing kicked him into his path.
Invisible Woman told her younger brother, less talking, Johnny. Let's contain him and force his army to surrender. Mr. Fantastic had a device with many blips of two different colors. The red blips represented Atuma's forces, while the blue blips represented Namor's Atlantean guards. According to the removal of blips from the device's image projector, Atuma's forces were dwindling. Looks like things are winding down. Richards was cut off when Grimm slammed into him after being flung by Atuma. Crap.
The warlord was staring at Invisible Woman. No one hurts my husband. She raised her hands and surrounded Atuma with a force barrier, blocking him off from the seawater. This is going to hurt you a lot. She curled her fingers as her force field began to contract. Nice, Invisible Woman. Keep him in there until I break free. Atuma spun Neptune's trident before propelling it, easily breaching the force field as he recovered his full strength from the sea. Your pathetic powers are no match for me. Patronus shunshined in front of Atuma, holding his distinctive chakra sphere, although a larger form. How about this? Udama Rasengan. The explosion shook the chamber and blew away the water as the Fantastic Four and Namor braced themselves for the debris thrown at them. Behind me, cried Invisible Woman as she conjured a force field around her family and uneasy ally, while debris smashed into the shield. What power! And I have a feeling there's more to come, Mr. Fantastic said as the dust settled and showed them where Patronus stood in front of the large hole in the hull where Atuma was hurled backwards to the outside. Patronus raised his forearms to stop a strong crimson beam before being slammed through another wall after sheathing his blade on his back. The Fantastic Four and Namor turned around to see Atuma walk back into the room, unharmed by Patronus' energy sphere. Weak magic that humans wield, growled Atuma as he stared at his opponents. Just like the rest of his kind. Patronus' exertion caused the debris and rubble that buried the hero to erupt as he raised up and flexed his arms to regain feeling in them. That was something, he said, seeing the lack of wounds on Atuma's chest. Wow, you're tough. Then let me show you how powerful I really am. Atuma dematerialized and reappeared behind Patronus, punching him hard in the back of the skull before grabbing his leg and pushing the ninja into the ground multiple times. Taste defeat. Atuma threw Patronus into a nearby wall before thrusting Neptune's trident into his chest.
Sue. Invisible Woman nodded, knowing what her husband had ordered, and appeared in front of Patronus with a force field shield just as the spear burst through. When Atuma's spear hit nothing but the wall, Patronus snuck underneath and double-kicked him from the ground through the wall into the relic room. The warlord grumbled in annoyance as he was pushed to the ground by the thing's flurry of fists to the back. "Don't forget about me," Ben screamed, continuing to punch.
"Get off of me," exclaimed Atuma as the thing yanked him into a full Nelson to stop his movements. "You pesky humans think this will stop me?"
"No," Mr. Fantastic said, his body stretching like gum and wrapping around Atuma's legs to tighten the grip. "But this will, Sue, his head." "On it," Sue said, raising her hands and moving them in a circular motion as a small force field bubble formed around Atuma's head and neck, cutting off the water supply. "That should do it." 3 members of the Fantastic team and Atuma were struggling against each other's links, but the latter was breaking through, much to Sue's surprise. "It must be the seawater. He's not completely covered," Reed explained as he battled to keep the warlord's legs restrained. "Sue, extend the force field around his body."
"I don't think so," Atuma yelled as his trident pierced the force field and struck Invisible Woman. "Die, human." "Sue," Reed cried, his voice worried. Invisible Woman exclaimed before erecting many barriers in front of her to delay the projectile as it easily penetrated them until it was stopped by a gloved hand. Reed's wife sighed in relief when she realized it was Patronus who had saved her. "Thank you for the save." Patronus replied before stabbing the 3-pronged spear into the ground. "No problem. Now I got to kick this Atlantean's ass." Atuma hissed at the approaching human and flexed his muscles sufficiently to break the thing's full Nelson hold on Richards's face, forcing him to release his legs. "Would you like to fight me again?" He hurled Mr. Fantastic towards the thing, sending them smashing through many walls and outside the Grand Hall. "I accept your challenge." Both declared warriors drew their fists back as they neared each other until their ranges overlapped and they exchanged punches to the face. As part of the aftereffects, a sharp shockwave fiercely shook the Grand Hall, and the ceiling began to come apart. The frequent punches exchanged between Patronus and Atuma did not help the quickly deteriorating structure. "What's the matter, human?" Atuma mocked after feeling his opponent's fists pound him in places he didn't comprehend, and as a result, Patronus was getting hit quicker than he could counterattack. This did not deter the Atlantean from increasing the force of his strikes, resulting in more blows as Patronus was driven back. "You cannot overwhelm me in my territory." As Patronus grinned loudly, his final punch was deflected firmly in his palm. "Finally." "What do you mean by?" As Atuma took a step back from Patronus, he was struck by the terrible pain that rushed through his body. "What's happening?" Patronus laughed as his scheme came to fulfillment. In comparison to Atuma, his strikes were precise and heavy against specific regions of his body, the important points. Although he was concerned since the anatomy and physiology of humans and Atlanteans differed, Naruto went into Sage mode before the second round of fist to compensate for his strength because Atuma was still stronger. "My turn." Patronus pounded his fists into Atuma's vital areas, pushing natural energy through his body as he did so. "How does it feel?" He kneed the Atlantean in the stomach multiple times, followed by simultaneous palm punches to the ears. Shockwave of forgetfulness. Patronus' senjutsu enhanced assaults rang in Atuma's ears as he continued his combination of techniques inspired by Kenichi, his fellow disciple under Hayato Furinji. Rekka Sajinbaku. A quick spinning karate punch to the face of Atuma, followed by a low kick to the back of the leg. T-Lan. Patronus continued his senjutsu assault. Ma style. Resetsuki. He attacked after gradually reducing the horizontal and downward movements of his hands as they made contact with Atuma's chest while the latter felt his skin being shredded in numerous directions. Kasaka slash. He slashed Atuma with a tremendous downward slash that left a blinding flame wound from the shoulder to the abdomen. Atuma clutched his bleeding torso and felt a sensation he hadn't felt in a long time. "You wretched human. I'll kill you," he yelled, lashing out with a botched haymaker, which was exactly what Naruto intended since his combination wasn't finished yet. Patronus seized the stretched out arm and wrapped it around his neck before tripping Atuma with a leg sweep, pushing both of them to the ground, the Atlantean bearing the brunt of the counterattack. Sumokudori. A small debris cloud erupted from the jujutsu technique as both warriors got to their feet, Patronus in a safe distance for his final strike while the ninja lowered his arms into a guardless stance. "I'll block this one, you fool, just try." Atuma pumped all of his strength into his bulging arms and legs, assuming the most basic defensive stance. "Focus, Naruto. Find it. It is there. All I have to do is." Atuma's defense included a small white zone between his left elbow and torso area. There. He dashed faster thanks to Sage Mode, and as he got close to Atuma's weak point, he launched a vertical kick. This technique is one of the 108 legendary techniques of the Furinji style and focuses all of the user's force behind a kick to an opponent's weak area whether they are attacking or defending. It's known as Korui Nuki.
"What?" shouted Atuma as his opponent's legs slid past his elbow guard and struck him firmly in the oblique area, raising him off the ground and sucking the air out of him.
"Whoa," Thing exclaimed, awed by the ghost of Boston's physical strength and martial arts demonstration. "Not bad, kid. I think I want to fight him next."
"Please don't," implored the Richards as their longtime buddy waved them down. "No." All eyes were on Atuma, who was having a temper tantrum about the prospect of being defeated by a human, and in the water no less. "I won't stand for this. I will not."
Futon. Rasengan. After Patronus plunged the finished Rasengan into the Atlantean warlord's chest, he let out a wailing cry. Unlike the previous time, the Senjutsu-enhanced wind chakra sphere worked as Atuma felt his skin being shredded piece by piece each waking instant, and it continued after Patronus let go of the sphere. The ninja and the audience saw the small sphere grow in size as it ejected Atuma from the hall and across Atlantis buildings until it exploded seconds later at the northern sector's outermost wall. "And done," Patronus said, clapping his hands together to remove the dust from his gloves as Sage Mode deactivated moments later.
"That was something," Thing exclaimed as he and his companions approached Patronus and drew his attention to them. "Nice clobbering, though you should have left some for me." "Would you have done the same?" Thing crossed his arms as he considered it before responding. "Nope."
"Thought so," Patronus said with a smirk before Ben noticed something was lacking from their statistics. "Where's the, flame boy or something?" "Johnny?" Susan inquired as she, her friend, and her husband looked around for Johnny, who was nowhere to be located. "Where is he?"
"Come to think of it, he disappeared sometime during the battle." Reed recognized what he had done. They gazed around the city and noticed Johnny flirting with one of the Atlantean women clad in armor, despite the fact that their blades were aimed at his throats. "Come on, ladies. Put your swords down, and I'll show you all a good time, especially you toots," he smirked at the woman with red hair, who averted her gaze in embarrassment. "Johnny." Ben and Patronus yelled angrily as they chased the flirtatious Human Torch throughout the city for abandoning them for a woman. After 2 hours, Boston is a city in Massachusetts. Lara Croft had a rough day since she was anxious about her friend after he departed to resolve the situation at Atlantis. Imagine her delight when Patronus and the Fantastic Four returned safely, much to the annoyance of the Human Torch's female followers. The two groups said their goodbyes, and their aim was postponed for another day. After a Hiroshima trip back home, Patronus approached Lara about their purpose, and she confessed that her research into her father's writings, the late Richard Croft, had her on the trail of a precious artifact lost to history. Lara reacted with 3 words when Patronus asked her. "Not telling you." Cliffhanger. Patronus charged at her with his chopsticks. Lara amusedly smacked his chopsticks away with her own. Soon after their return to Boston, the unfortunate sign of hunger appeared in the center of the street for all to hear. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Naruto to get someone to savor the most wonderful dish ever prepared in the history of the universes. "Don't let your ramen get cold though." Naruto's tone was solemn. He heard about a small ramen business someplace in Little Japan about a month ago and spent weeks looking find it, but it was worth it in the end. The ramen was tasty, but not quite as nice as Ichiraku's ramen in Konoha. Imagine the ninja's astonishment when the owners were overjoyed to have the city's hero visit their business and offered him complimentary ramen.
Naruto liked the concept of free ramen, but he was put off by the shop's external appearance, as well as the fact that the proprietors were going to declare bankruptcy. Despite his anguish, Naruto refused the free offer, causing Kurama and Ashura to temporarily drag him inside his mind before slapping him repeatedly to see if he was dreaming or someone else totally. That didn't mean he wouldn't pay the owners a very generous amount, possibly in the hundreds of dollars.
"Do you like it?" Lara nodded as she and Patronus ate from their own bowls. "Good thing 'cause I'd throw you off this roof if you said otherwise." When Lara stabbed his skull with her chopsticks, the ninja grunted. "I was just kidding."
"So am I," Lara chuckled before turning her gaze to the luggage next to her. The final Croft pressed the button, revealing a tome adorned with glazed bronze and jewels. I'm still amazed you got these. Her bag was filled with Atlantean relics obtained by the disguised ninja from the namesake underwater city.
Patronus nodded, despite the fact that it was difficult to get them at first. After Atuma and his forces were apprehended and imprisoned under the careful eye of Cleto, the sea monster sent to devour Hesiod of Troy eons before, Namor gave Patronus gifts, if reluctantly, to express his thanks for assisting in the defense of Atlantis. It was also at this time that the Submariner chose to hand up the other vital critical subject to him. The issue is that he was betrothed to Lara Croft, despite the fact that none of them is married and the engagement was annulled. Lara was relieved to hear this, but Naruto detected a slight solemnity in her voice. He obtained several relics for Lara because she desired to visit Atlantis, but he kept one for himself. It was an unusual tiny contraption, with bizarre borders surrounding the extremely little spherical inside. Namor initially reluctant to give the device to Patronus, but his cousin, Namorita, persuaded him to do so. There was something strange about the equipment that bordered on the technical frontier, and Patronus wondered whether it could help him and Sky with their patrols. Are you pleased? Patronus inquired, and Lara smiled brightly. That's good. He then got to the meat of the matter. Lara, seriously, is what you're investigating potentially dangerous? Patronus, Lara. Don't be concerned. I'm taking a short hiatus to spend some time with the treasures. Lara placed the now empty bowl beside her. Thank you, really. Though the Croft appreciated his care, she assured the hooded hero. Patronus sighed heavily since he was still uncomfortable with being kept in the dark but had to accept her wishes. Okay then. He took something from his robe and put it in Lara's hands. If you're in even the slightest hint of danger, he hesitated to consider his next comments, but chose to be truthful. Are you ever want to talk then either throw or stab this anywhere and I'll be right there for you.
Thank you. Lara grinned at him, clutching the kunai to her chest. So, any place worth visiting here? Hang on. After putting the sack and destroying the ramen bowls with the combined strength of fire and wind, Patronus wrapped Lara around his back. Naruto blushed slightly when Lara's definite assets brushed against his back before diving over the roof in a backflip. Instead of screaming in terror, Lara said, "Woo. Teepexteepexteepum, Uzumaki Manor and the homestead grounds."
Massachusetts is forested. Patronus dropped Lara off at the motel she stayed at after 3 hours with her before returning home early, much to his wife's surprise because he generally returns home about 6 o'clock in the evening. It worked out better for them because he arrived just in time for dinner. When the Uzumaki wives heard their husband cry in agony, they were arranging the table. Naruto. The ladies dashed into Naruto's master bedroom, where they found him in his pajamas, staring into the mirror with anguish. Or some kind of it on his face. Oh my gosh, the women exclaimed in astonishment. I know. Naruto's face, or what was left of it, was brutally bruised, his cheeks swelled, and his eyes were hardly visible to the outside audience. It was unusual because he didn't feel any pain, yet Atuma was unbelievably strong to inflict this much physical harm on him even in Sage mode.
This is something. Seiko was at a loss for words to explain the scenario. Kuroka and Medusa snickered at Naruto, who was depressed, while Ria consoled him. It didn't help when Kurama and Ashura made amusing jabs at his face. Sometimes this job sucks. A smile pinched Naruto's lips as memories of Black Cat and Lara flashed through his head. But it certainly has its benefits. To be continued.
That's it for this part, guys. Thanks for listening to this video. I hope you did enjoy the story, and if it did, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for helping support, and have a great day.